father ran off. Ryder had been angry, so he stacked 20 of his father's expensive suits on the driveway, added some top-shelf cognac, and lit them up. Rhonda nodded slowly, understanding the deep-seated trauma the boy was dealing with. She philosophized that, in a way, we all need to let things out every now and then. Mel firmly disagreed, stating that the urge to set things on fire was an urge they must absolutely repress. Upstairs, Mel was a bundle of nerves. She thanked Rhonda profusely for babysitting, confessing that she had not had a real date since the kids moved in. It had been so long that she was actually nervous. She held up 2 different dresses for Rhonda's inspection. She analyzed them, saying the first dress said smart, independent, with a bright political future. The second dress, a slightly more daring choice, said former bad girl who was making a comeback. Rhonda dryly suggested the first one, asking if Mel was planning on going hiking in the second. Just as Mel was finally feeling confident, the telephone rang. It was the principal of the kids' school, Mrs. Lent. The color drained from Mel's face as she listened to the principal's stern voice. She could not believe what she was hearing. Lennox had done what? When? Where? Today? Mel stammered, telling the principal that she found that hard to believe, noting that Lennox had not told her anything about it. Mel tried to defend her niece, saying it was not at all typical behavior, but quickly backed down, assuring the principal that she believed her and knew when something was truly serious. She apologized profusely and promised to talk to Lennox, still holding onto a shred of denial that this could not have happened. Mel hung up the phone and turned to Rhonda, her evening completely ruined. She revealed that today at school, Lennox had handed out flyers containing an original poem that rhymed the principal's name in a very creative, yet highly inappropriate way that did not go over well with Mrs. Lent. Rhonda winced, warning Mel that there was a high possibility Channel 5 would pick up the story, given Mel's public profile. Mel groaned, confirming she was pretty sure about that, especially since she had just been on the air, live, denying any family turbulence. The weight of it all crashed down on her. 2 months of living with her and the girl gets suspended. Mel sarcastically nominated herself for Legal Guardian of the Year. Rhonda gently pushed her recurring advice. Mel needed to hire somebody, an organizer, a professional nanny. She argued that those kids needed structure, discipline, and possibly electroshock therapy, though the last part was said in jest. Rhonda stressed that Mel simply could not do everything. Mel, ever the stubborn fighter, insisted that while she might not be able to do everything, she could certainly do this one thing. It was just a matter of going upstairs and setting that young girl straight. She marched out of the room, fueled by sudden maternal indignation. She paused in the hallway, calling back to Rhonda, asking rhetorically why her sister was not there to discipline her own daughter, before bitterly answering her own question, because she was locked up in a federal prison. Mel found Lennox in the hallway, looking completely unfazed. Mel tried a gentle approach first, bringing up a fond memory. She asked if Lennox remembered when they went to the Fall Out Boy concert together, mentioning she had just found an old picture from that night. Lennox pointed out, with devastating teenage flatness, that the picture was hanging very obviously in the hallway outside the door. Mel corrected her, saying it was hanging affectionately, not obviously. She tried to lean into the nostalgia, reminiscing about what a great night it was, cheering for the band. Lennox crossed her arms, asking bluntly where Mel was going with this conversation. Mel admitted she was just remembering the good times, the times when they shared things, when they told each other important things. She pressed, asking if anything important had happened today. Lennox scoffed, realizing the game was up. She asked if Mel really thought she got suspended with something she might actually want to share. Forced into a corner, Lennox finally shared her perspective. Mrs. Lent was a fascist. Mel, exhausted by the vocabulary, asked why Lennox could not have just called her that instead of writing a wildly inappropriate poem. Lennox defensively stated that she never got in trouble at her old school. Mel quickly reminded her that it was because her parents had bought the school an indoor pool. Lennox retorted that the pool did not even have a spa, questioning what was up with that, before brushing the whole thing off with a dismissive whatever. Mel laid down the law. She told Lennox that Mrs. Lent was expecting a formal apology. Mel stated that she and Lennox had an appointment down in the principal's office at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Lennox sarcastically replied that it sounded great and told Mel to let her know how that went, implying she had no intention of going. Mel stood her ground, informing Lennox that until she talked to the principal, she could not go back to school. Lennox smiled, declaring that she guessed she was not going back to school ever again. Mel countered, her voice firm, stating that of course she was going back, because her education was the most important thing in the world. The doorbell rang, shattering the tense standoff. Mel gasped, suddenly remembering her romantic plans. She told Lennox that it was her date and instructed her to stay right there because she had more to say. Mel rushed down the stairs, throwing open the front door, expecting to see Griffin, her handsome date. Instead, she found the crazy, angry man from the city council meeting standing on her porch. Mel recoiled, letting out an involuntary groan of disgust, telling him she was expecting her date. The man held up his hands in a gesture of peace. He promised to be quick. He confessed that he had been a complete jackass down at City Hall earlier that day. He admitted he never should have crashed her meeting asking where her brother-in-law was. He acknowledged that his behavior was wrong, and he just wanted to come to her home and say that he was truly sorry. Mel, still on edge, sarcastically yelled out the word Bolivia, noting that Lewis was probably hiding in Bolivia. The man flinched violently at the sudden shout. Mel pointed out his reaction. He defended himself, saying he flinched because she had shouted the word at him, and that people currently living in Bolivia probably flinched too. He reiterated that he did not know where the hell Lewis was, and pleaded with her to get lost and leave him alone, mixing up his apologies with his lingering frustration. Before Mel could kick him off the porch, Griffin, her actual date, walked up the steps, looking impeccably handsome and smelling wonderful. He greeted Mel warmly. Griffin noticed the strange, unkempt man on the porch and asked who he was. The man mumbled that he was nobody. Mel looked at Griffin, her heart sinking. She knew she had to cancel. She explained to Griffin that she knew he had waited a long time for this date, and so had she. She complimented him on how great he looked and smelled, but confessed that she had a niece in absolute crisis. She desperately wanted to go on the date, but she had to spend the evening with her niece. She reiterated how much she wanted to be spending time with him, visibly mourning the loss of the evening. In a moment of pure, desperate compensation, Mel reached into her purse, pulled out a thick stack of cash, and shoved it into Griffin's hands. She told him she was really excited to buy this date, but since she could not go on it, she wanted to do this instead. She handed him the money, telling him that it should hold him over for a few weeks, maybe more, because with teenagers they just never really knew. Griffin stood there, stunned, holding the cash. The strange man on the porch watched the exchange with wide eyes, muttering that it was a whole bucket of gravy. The next morning, the chaos in the Burke household continued. Rhonda arrived, looking frazzled, apologizing for being late. Mel, sleep-deprived and overwhelmed, asked if she was really that late. Rhonda confirmed it, saying she had spent the morning filling out the extensive paperwork for the professional nanny agency, which she held up as proof. Mel was unimpressed, sarcastically noting that Rhonda should have mentioned she was late before she walked in. Suddenly, the front door opened, and the man from the previous night, the angry City Hall crasher, walked right into the living room. Mel panicked, shouting for him to relax and demanding to know what he was doing in her house. He smiled, a charming, disarming grin, and announced that it was a happy visit today. He asked if he might come in, to which Mel immediately said no, though he ignored her. He explained his presence. He told Mel that he had found the city budget online late last night and had meticulously gone through